No matter your age, your plan for retirement can start today. From the News Channel 5 Network, this is the Retirement Report.
Good morning. Welcome to the Retirement Report. I'm Hank Parrott, your host. Got with me my special guest today, a good friend and someone that I've worked with for many, many years, and it's Dr. Friday of Dr. Friday's Tax and Financial Services. And as you know, Dr. Friday's been a regular contributor to the show, and I'll tell you, when it comes to taxes, I do a lot of referring of business because both for taxes, both for individuals rather and small business owners, this is a time of year when we're all kind of scrambling, especially small business owners. You're maybe scrambling around saying, boy, what am I going to do here? Maybe you had a good year, or maybe it's a good quarter, and you're thinking, is there anything I can do to help reduce my taxes yet for this year? And the same thing for individuals. Maybe you're thinking, wow, maybe I didn't put away enough. All of a sudden I'm realizing maybe I had a good year as well. Maybe you got a bonus. Is there anything I can do at the end of the year to help save money and not pay as much out on taxes, right? It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. So we wanted you to keep more of that in your pocket and less going out to Uncle Sam. So one of the ways we can do that, there's a number of them actually we're going to cover with you this morning. So what we're looking to do is try to put maybe some few $100s of money, maybe some thousands of dollars of money back in your pocket, money you get to keep instead of having to write those checks to the IRS. Yeah. You can give us a call, 737-PLUS, 737-7587 if you have any questions. If you'd like to join in and maybe you're looking at, what am I going to do here towards the end of the year in filing my taxes? What kind of preparation do I need to do to get ready so that I can get that done as quick as I can? And we're going to talk about some changes that came into play this year and also some things that are going to be coming in next year. So
you have all kinds of things going on there.
We do, and I'm glad to have you on here to help me with it, I'll tell you.
Well, I think the biggest change is that 3.8 and that 0.9 and the 3.8 probably affect more people than the 0.9 because the 0.9 is only on earned income, but
so this is on Medicare.
The 3.8 Medicare tax, they call it, but it's basically on all income. Mm-hmm. So if you happen to normally make, it's a couple, maybe $100,000, but this year you did have a successful year for your business, or you sold something that you made a profit of 100 or 150, and it's a married couple, anything over 250 combined, everything you have, you're going to pay anything above that, an additional 3.8 than what you normally would pay on the tax on that. And that's on dividends. That's on any kind of income. It doesn't change. So your capital gains rate goes up.
Well, and this goes to, so for those that have if you've had a really good year, this is an area that
especially
you
like small business owners.
To.
This year has, for some reason, I've had more come this year with much larger people that are normally make a couple hundred maybe a year, now are showing 4 and 5 and 6, and they're looking now, right, December, and the thing is, they don't really have it. They've had huge loans for the last 3 years. They've been paying those off aggressively because they didn't have them until they went into debt with the downturn of the economy and things, and so they don't look at it as really profit, right? Because it's not sitting in the bank waiting for them to do something. They've been paying off credit cards and loans and all the things that it took to keep that business alive during the downturn. So now they're sitting there going, wait a second, my bottom line shows this. First, where is it? What did I do with it? And then of course you go back and you explain, well, you paid off 100,000 here, and you had this, and you had these debts, but now I've got taxes, and you're telling me, hey, I owe this much in tax, and I don't have that money. Because that's the problem when you get aggressive about paying down debt. It's a great concept, but remember, that debt was already wrote off on the business if it was accumulated over a number of years. So you don't have a tax deduction any longer, and that's where it gets a bit complicated, because now you're showing $200,000 or $300,000 that you might have actually spent every dollar and paid back something, but now you still owe tax of $70,000 or something if you're self-employed on that money, and now I'm telling you another 3.8 above what would normally be the tax liability.
And we just met with a client yesterday who's in the real estate business.
Very similar kind of situation. I mean, she normally made, she was a part-time real estate individual. This year, real estate has done across the board much better. All my real estate people are doing awesome. But again, with real estate, I mean, we do a lot of people that work real estate. There's a lot of salespeople, and immediately I tell almost everybody, every time you get a commission check, set 20% aside.
Right.
There's not a ton of cost to your business. If you're only closing 1 or 2 homes, that's a little different. But in her case, you
she
know,
had a good year.
She had an awesome year, along with all of her other. She had some other little businesses that every one of them made money on her this year.
Right,
So,
and it's the same thing when you start having that money coming in. The tendency is to all the, you know, like I said, first off, if you had accumulated debt in bad years, now you pay all that off.
Because you're paying all this interest, right?
And you're not thinking that you got to pay tax on that.
She was unusual. She was above and beyond. She was an extremely unusual one because she didn't go off and do what we were, because they were pretty much out of debt, I think.
Right.
But so she saved a very large percentage of what so her money was still in the bank.
Right.
It's the ones that actually are on the other side.
This is, you know, it's one of the biggest warnings is that when you're looking at, when you have a good year, if you're in particular a small business owner, self-employed individual, when you're having, you know, the money starting to come in, you're thinking more in terms of paying off the debt, which is a good thing. Yeah. But when you're paying off the debt, understand, as Dr. Friday's saying, that's just, you know, that's not money that, you know, you paid that, or it went out, so therefore you're thinking, I don't owe any tax on it. You do. So if you had to pay $20,000 in debt, be thinking of, maybe I need to set $3,000 or $4,000 aside, depending on how much money you're making, for taxes. And you might, you know, either set it aside in an account or even just pay an estimated tax payment, send it to the IRS, out of sight, out of mind, so to speak,
and that's important.
Be prepared.
Most self-employed people, even you real estate people or anyone that receives a 1099, that's who we're talking about. Those are self-employed. That's what we call self-employed. Anybody that does that every year, you need to be paying quarterly. It's not an option. It's not a choice. Oh, I can do it now or I can pay it all at the end of the year. It is a requirement by law to pay estimated payments. Now, if your husband works and there's enough taxes paid in, or your wife works and there's enough, you take it out of her paycheck and there's enough paid in, so at the end of the year you don't owe anything, the penalty will be waived. But theoretically, anybody, all of us that are self-employed, must pay a quarterly tax payment out, or if you're a corporation or something, you take it through wages. But it's very important because we send more waiver requests trying to get that penalty waived, because it can be very, very hefty. The worst is failure to file. That one can be something like 20% of what you owe. So that can be, you know, thousands of dollars. And then your next higher one is like 5% of failure to pay your quarterlies. So why pay money out when you don't really have to? And I know you're saying, well, I pay my mortgage or I pay the IRS. It really, really shouldn't be that choice. It's a matter that sometimes it's, I'm going to go out to dinner every day or I'm going to pay the IRS. You know, lifestyle, the IRS is a bill collector and they're more aggressive than anyone else.
Right. Now there's some other strategies that we're going to be talking about through the morning as well. The first thing is just the cautionary tales we were just going over. If you've had a good year, or if you've, you know, and again, an individual or small business owner, and you need to be prepared that what this tax bill, but you don't all of a sudden have a big debt to the IRS. So you want to make sure that you're setting money aside. One of the things you definitely want to avoid is don't go out and improve lifestyle thinking, you know, oh, I'm going to go, you know, buy that new car or do this big, huge home remodel that I've been putting off, without setting aside, again, 15, 20% of that or more. Here's one of the things to consider, and Dr. Friday, let me have you talk about this a little bit. This is where we're going to take a break and then we're going to talk about.
So here's the key.
I know, right? Here's what we're going to be looking at. When we come back, one of the things I want to get into, in particular for you small business owners and self-employed people, is the self-employment tax. All right, and this is one of the areas that can get you in trouble as well when it comes to setting aside enough money. You might look and say, well, I'm in a 15% bracket, so if I take 10 or 15% and set that aside, I'm okay. But there's a bigger tax to be concerned about as well. We're going to get into that. We're also going to talk about some other strategies for individuals as well to show you how you can reduce your taxable income this year so that can put more money in your pocket. Join us here. We'll be right back on the Retirement Report.